Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Inspired Career Spotlight on Careers, the video podcast series where I bring you career professionals from all over the marketplace to help you advance in your careers. But today we are talking about Job Seeker Spotlight because that is a part of our careers. And in Job Seeker Spotlight, I like to highlight our young people that have landed fabulous jobs as part of our Inspired Career Student Professional Launch Program. And our latest success story is Noah James. Hey, Noah.
Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Noah's got a fabulous story to tell. And listen, all you college seniors, recent college grads, we know how tough it is out there. Noah's going to tell you his story. And listen, fabulous young man, big fat degree, wonderful school, market still challenging. So you're not alone. Listen to Noah. He'll kind of tell you a little bit about his journey. But welcome, Noah. Why don't you just start out talking to us a little bit about your degree program at CU Boulder, when you came out, kind of what you wanted to do with that. And then we'll talk about how we hooked up here and the journey that we took together.
Sure. To be honest, it's a very long and winding path that I took to get here. I started out my undergrad at the University of Arkansas, and I was doing machine learning research there as part of my computer science degree. And I'd always planned to go get a graduate degree. I didn't know if it was going to be a master's or PhD. I eventually kind of grew into this sort of feeling that I didn't really enjoy research as much. I wanted to get into industry. So when I went to get a graduate degree, I decided to just do my master's and from there kind of see what was open. And I went to the CU Boulder to get my master's in computer science. And along the way there, I sort of learn more about what I wanted to do. I was taking more specialized courses and stuff, and it kind of led me more down like the sort of low level programming path, which is really kind of speaking to me, I guess, on a passion level. And I mean, there's a lot of other aspects to it I could speak to. At its core, I've really kind of figured out what I wanted to do while doing my master's. The unfortunate part was that the job market took a big turn for programmers and software engineers in the past year or two. And it's funny because I had a pretty good offer coming right out of my bachelor's degree because I had interns with the company Credera. And unfortunately, I was already set to go do my master's, and I told them that as such. But fast forward 2 years later, things weren't looking as great. It was hard to even get interviews. I think in total, I got maybe 4 or 5 interviews, or at least ones that made it several rounds. And that was kind of the story of it for me. It was troublesome to even get those interviews. And when I got them, it was pretty heartbreaking to get rejected. But fortunately, I have succeeded now. It's really great to feel that weight off my shoulders. And yeah, there's a long and winding path to get here.
There's always a story behind every success story. There's a lot of ups and downs and failures, but let's just touch a little bit into that. You came out of fabulous school, great degree. I've said it before, you're a fabulous young man, but the market had changed, particularly for STEM students, particularly for computer science. Remember, we talked about that one recruiter I spoke with said tech was flat, right? And we knew that. We struggled a little bit in the beginning trying to find opportunities. But no, you came to me as part of the Inspired Career Student Professional Launch Program so that we could take that journey from start to finish, teach you everything you need to know. And you had a great handle on it. You already had a job offer. You knew what you wanted to do, but by the same token, the market wasn't helping you. It was not conducive to really getting those jobs that you wanted. But can you talk a little bit about what we did together in the program here that you found helpful that others may find helpful in their journeys as well?
Sure. I guess primarily it was sort of figuring out what would stand out, like what would get you opportunities to interview. And even though they were few and far between, it really kind of hinged on going out and finding any connections you had, no matter how small, and trying to make use of those. And to be honest, I didn't have many. And that was my core weakness in this job search was I had worked several times in the past, part-time, full-time internships, but I had never really paid attention to making long-term connections or using LinkedIn extensively. That area was totally barren for me. And I had to spend a lot of effort to really bolster that and go back through and be like, okay, I remember talking with this person. Maybe I should try to connect with them. Or like, I worked with this person for a while. I should definitely connect with them. And some of those people I just briefly talked to, and I mean, they didn't really go anywhere. Job market's hard. But eventually I figured out that I knew some people with a company I wanted to work with, L3Harris. And that's how I eventually got this job offer. And honestly, I didn't know them super well. I had done some cycling events with them in the past, since I'm a triathlete, is my hobby. And I had met them like once or twice, and I was like, "Hey, I remember they worked there. I'll shoot them a message." And hey, it worked out.
Well, they say the statistics will show 75 to 80% of jobs are gotten through networking. And you think about networking, you think, well, I have to go to an event, I got to put on a suit, I got to hold a piece of cheese, and I got to hold a drink. And that's what networking is. But it really is talking to people that you know. Can I correct you or just offer one thing? You say to try being a triathlete is your hobby. That's a lifestyle, dude. Like that is a commitment. And I want everybody to hear that. I mean, he's doing classes, he's doing job search, he's keeping up his training. It's a lot. It's a lot. And Noah, through the process, you had the one job, the interview that went 3 rounds, and the 3 hour. Remember that 3 hour? Oh, right. And you didn't get offered the job, and there were some challenging days. It becomes difficult after you're rejected, and it happens to everybody. And when you're thinking, who else can I talk to? What else can I do? What advice would you give to other young people that when you're feeling down like that and, you feel like I've done everything I can do or I'm not good enough? What advice can you give people to kind of keep looking forward that helps you?
Absolutely. I can try to give some nugget of information here on how I handled it, but I think people are different. They have different ways of approaching things. Things work differently for them. For me personally, I eventually had to sort of learn a philosophy for how to handle disappointment, or how to handle doing job search on top of trying to keep your skills polished. There's a lot to do in there, and if something's not going well, it can really hurt. But for me, it was important to kind of pivot. If I'm not feeling it, like applying to jobs, networking, or anything along those lines, then I had some side projects that I would delve into. For me, it was important to be productive. If I was having a bad week, I needed to kind of turn it around by doing something that I felt was tangible. And oftentimes those side projects would do it for me. I would, spend a couple hours coding, and I'd have something to show. I would go show it to my parents and my brother and be like, look at this. This is this cool thing I did. And it would just sort of lift my mood. And, from then on, I could maybe get back into the job search again and be more rejuvenated. So I think it's really important just to have something that can feel like you're making progress, because it does feel like you're spinning in your wheels sometimes when you're doing the job search, because if you get several rounds into an interview process, get rejected, maybe do that multiple times, or you're not even getting interviews at all, it doesn't feel like there's progress. But it's important to realize that there is progress. Like, job market's changing, the job that you're eventually going to get is going to eventually open up. It's just not as apparent. So for me, it's definitely important to just keep morale up however you can.
Yeah. Even executives who've been through the job search game for 25 years struggle with it. So the fact that you're able to do that, Noah, without that, that extensive experience, that's a lot. I mean, you're so committed to it. And even when we talked about getting out there, like getting out from behind the computer, from applying for jobs, going to career fairs, you did that. You did everything that we talked about, and you put yourself out there. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, but you did it, and you did it well. And in the end, you got a fabulous, fabulous job offer, which well deserved, well deserved. And, it's exciting that you got exactly what you wanted, what you deserved. You also, let's talk very quickly. You also said no to another opportunity that came your way because you knew in your heart that it really wasn't for you. Just talk a minute about that, could you?
Yeah. So in actuality, this other opportunity came around right at the same time I was getting this other job offer. And I mean, it wasn't another offer technically. It was basically just an invitation to continue with the process. And it was
For what company, Noah?
it's for Google, and for software engineers, Google is the pinnacle. It's sort of it has a special place for software engineers, and sort of the same for me. I was like, this is unprecedented. I didn't expect to get the opportunity to interview with Google. And I successfully passed the assessment and got to the interview phase. But for me, there's a lot of things to consider. It took me about a week of really kind of toiling over it in my mind to make a decision on whether to continue, because I had already gotten this fabulous offer from L3Harris. And eventually I decided to kind of stop there because, well, for one, Google's interview process is very intensive, and they specifically for programmers, there's a lot of studying you have to do. It's sort of like doing a bunch of possible brain teasers on the fly, and you have to do that for 5 hours about. And I haven't been studying for it. I studied for it briefly before the assessment, and I knew if I wanted to really put my all into it, I had to study some more. And honestly, I wasn't really good to go with that because, I mean, doing that studying, it's not really beneficial like in a work environment. It doesn't really increase your skills a bunch. I already had knowledge of this stuff. It's just like, can you do it fast enough? So I made that decision, and mostly just because I think the L3Harris offer is so good for me. It's in my hometown, close to my family, and the compensation and benefits are amazing for the location. And not only that, I think for a career path, I'm sort of going towards a more low-end hardware-oriented programming, which is what L3Harris is doing, at least with the position I'll have. And so I think that kind of plays more into my passions and the career path I want to take than it would with Google. So
it's okay to say it's okay to say no when it's not for you, even if maybe other people think it's for them, but you have to make the right decision for you. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, for many people, Google is great, and I would encourage them to do whatever they can for those sorts of opportunities. For me, it just wasn't quite it. And fortunately, I had another offer on the table that I could go with. So yeah.
All right. No, we're going to tie up our time together, but now reflecting back on this journey, and it's been, I don't know, I guess about 6 months, right? I'm thinking about your graduation date, 5, 6 months, whatever. What's the one piece of advice that you may give to other young people that are watching this when they're thinking about going into their careers? They're thinking about the job search, maybe something you've learned in the job search that might be helpful to them. What might that piece of advice be?
Well, the first thing is don't give up. You'll get it eventually. But the big sort of picture is to make connections and network and just ask, right? Like if you're ever feeling very awkward about asking people if there's opportunities, or if you just want to ask questions about companies, don't feel awkward, just do it. If, they do find it weird or off-putting the way you asked it, they'll forget about it in a couple minutes. It'll be nothing in their lives. So just go for it. Ask those questions, send those messages. That's how I got mine. I was initially feeling awkward messaging my contact at L3Harris. But once I did that, it was over. And eventually I learned that that was what got my resume put on someone's desk. So that's my advice. Just go for it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And listen, folks, it's hard. Job search is hard. The market's hard out there. And your success is directly related to your effort and to your ability to try different things and to hang in there. So congratulations, Noah. It was absolute pleasure working with you in this program, going through this journey together. The next thing we're doing here is now we're talking about preparing you for the job. Your job starts in a week and a half. We're talking about helping you be successful in that job. So, obviously we want that. That's the next thing, right? Transitioning into the job. I'm sure you're going to be fabulous. So that's the last thing we're going to do together. And this was going to set you up for a lifetime of success. Better offer you get in the beginning, everything follows. So congratulations, Noah. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff. All right, everybody, we're going to tie it up today. Listen, if you have any questions about the Inspire Career Student Professional Launch Program, and if it might be for you or someone you love, please reach out. Let us know. And in the meantime, subscribe to our channel here. Get all kinds of great career-related information. And until we meet again, live inspired.